In the heart of the relentless African savannah, where the scorching sun shows no mercy and danger lurks in every shadow, an extraordinary story of survival unfolds. Meet Sophie, an 8-year-old girl battling cerebral palsy, left alone in a vast, unforgiving wilderness where every step is a monumental struggle. As heat blurs the horizon and silence reigns, Sophie's courage is tested to its limits, not just by nature's harshness, but by predators stalking nearby. You can see this child wearing torn clothes, dusty and stained from constant sweat. Her skin is sunburnt, and her once bright blonde hair now falls in tangled, dry strands. In her eyes, there is a mix of fear and determination. The savannah, with all its dangers, shows no mercy to this fragile girl, yet something inside her refuses to give up. She has cerebral palsy, which makes every movement a huge effort. Still, she is there, slowly dragging herself toward a small patch of shade under the only twisted tree nearby. At first, no one knows how she got there, or why she was left alone. The only certainty is that survival is urgent. When she finally reaches the small refuge from the sun, the girl tries to steady herself on the dry ground. Her hands shake, but she does not feel cold. It is fear that makes her breathe faster, a mix of helplessness, and the understanding that no other person seems nearby. The wind blows small clouds of dust against her face. It feels as if nature itself is testing her endurance, seeing how far the courage of a child who cannot even stand alone can go. Minutes pass, and the heat remains suffocating even in the shade. She sweats heavily, feeling her mouth dry, her lips crack, and nausea rise in her stomach. The silence grows almost deafening, desperate. Then the girl decides to distract her mind. Using what little strength she has, she gathers scattered pebbles and arranges them in an uneven circle before her, as if this small task might give her a sense of safety. From time to time she looks around, hoping someone might appear over a rise in the land, but she only sees the same endless, repeating landscape. Time slows so much that hours feel far too long. When the sun starts to set, easing the heat slightly, she hears a different sound, something not from insects or wind. She lifts her head, cautious. At first, she sees nothing, but the feeling of being watched grows stronger. Her heart races, her breath catches. She tries to call for help, but her voice is just a hoarse whisper with no echo. Then, a shape appears on the horizon, something large, walking with a slight limp. It is a lion. It limps because it is missing one paw. Even so, its figure is strong against the late afternoon light. Sophie feels a sharp fear, like an electric shock. She can barely move. If it attacks, she will have no defense. The lion moves slowly forward, staring at her. The girl holds her breath, never expecting her first meeting with another living being here to be with the region's most feared predator. But what happens next is beyond all expectations. The lion stops a few meters away, lifts its head as if smelling the air, then sits down for a long moment. They study each other. Her hands sweat, and her stomach flutters, contrasting the heavy heat. She keeps her eyes fixed on the lion, not daring to move. It watches her carefully, almost trying to understand what this figure so out of place might be. Seconds pass like forever. Finally, the girl whispers, barely audible, begging it not to hurt her, even though she knows her words may mean nothing if wild instinct takes over. But the lion does not move. Its nostrils flare as it smells the small human, and its tail swings slightly. To Sophie's surprise, the lion lies down under the same tree, keeping a safe distance. She doesn't know why, but somehow senses this meeting may mean more than just danger. Maybe, as unlikely as it sounds, there is a chance of help. When the sun finally disappears behind the horizon, the temperature drops, and the night wind rustles dry leaves on the ground. Night brings new dangers, especially for a helpless child. Her body protests with fatigue, but she barely closes her eyes, fearing what might come near. The first nocturnal roars echo, and the girl stirs the pebbles she gathered, seeking comfort in that simple act. The lion stays alert, lifting its head now and then, sniffing the air, listening closely. Darkness covers the land, and glowing eyes flicker in the distance, hyenas searching for food. For them, Sophie would be easy prey. But they did not count. on the big cat beside her. When some hyenas move closer, forming a tightening semicircle, the lion rises, growling low. Its posture stiffens. Sophie can feel the roar vibrate through the ground. The hyenas hesitate, knowing even a wounded lion is a dangerous enemy. One comes forward, testing the limits. With surprising speed, the lion strikes with its front paw, a quick blow enough to make the hyena yelp and retreat. The others scatter, watching silently from afar. The girl can hardly believe it. This frightening animal has just protected her. She does not know if it acted out of territorial instinct or because it somehow recognizes her weakness. The fact remains that after this tense encounter, the hyenas decide not to press further. They linger in the dark for a while, then leave, and the lion returns to its watch. Sophie, still trembling, whispers a thank you, looking at the strong figure guarding her. Night passes, and fatigue takes over. She curls against the tree, her eyes heavy, her mind filled with fear, but also a strange comfort. She sleeps a few hours under the lion's constant watch. Occasionally, it moves to chase away strange sounds. When the sun rises, the savannah wakes in orange and yellow shades. Sophie opens her eyes, aching all over. Nearby, the lion blinks, slowly, as if it never closed its eyes. They share a silent moment in the soft morning light, a bond forming between a fragile child with cerebral palsy and a lion marked by its own pain. Both, in different ways, know what it means to face a harsh world without a promise of survival. Hunger gnaws at Sophie's belly. She places a hand over it, finding nothing to eat but a few crumbs of dried fruit. The lion stands, sniffing the wind, then starts to walk. She senses she cannot stay, and, despite her struggles, begins to drag herself in the same direction. They move through rough ground filled with cracks and sharp bushes. The sun climbs higher, heating everything fiercely. The girl stops often to catch her breath, but the lion looks back, as if urging her on. Suddenly she hears the soft sound of water, a faint murmur, but enough to bring hope. Using her last strength, she reaches a small stream, shallow, but precious, in this desert. Sophie dips her hands in the water, drinks, and feels relief soothe her dry throat. The lion also stops to drink, always alert. She smiles faintly, grateful. She finds a fallen fruit near a bush and eats it, though it tastes bitter. The lion shows no interest in fruit. Its instincts drive it to seek meat, though hunting here is hard. In the following days, a silent routine forms. The girl follows the lion, which seems to guide her to places where some resources exist. At night, they look for a tree or shelter. The lion lies nearby, watching closely. She learns the meanings of his sounds. A low growl means danger far away. A flick of the tail signals alert. Sudden stillness means he hears something. He notices she struggles to move and instinctively slows down to stay near her. During rests, Sophie watches the lion's missing paw, feeling a deep compassion. They both have limits. She can barely walk. He cannot run like others. Yet, they support each other in this way. Cold returns at night. One evening, the lion lies closer, his rough fur brushing her side. The warmth helps ease the wind's chill, letting her sleep better. That contact strengthens the bond growing between them day by day. One seemingly normal morning is shattered by distant gunshots, metallic bangs, not natural sounds. Sophie startles, her heart pounding. The lion goes alert, sniffing the air deeply. She hides behind a bush as the lion takes a defensive stance. Soon, two armed humans appear, moving carefully. The girl's eyes widen with relief and fear. Relief to see humans. Fear because they carry rifles and wear makeshift uniforms, clearly hunters. They walk slowly, checking tracks on the ground. One points to paw prints likely of the lion, speaking excitedly. They talk about hunting it. They also notice human footprints and seem interested. Sophie stays silent, knowing discovery means danger. The lion growls low, warning her to stay quiet. She throws a rock away, making noise to distract the hunters just long enough to slip to hiding among rocks. There, she gestures for the lion to follow, scratching marks in the dirt and pointing to a way out. It is uncertain if he understands, but miraculously, he follows. They slip out of sight, but can still hear distant voices. The hunters pursue, wanting to kill the lion for the black market. Tension is high. Sophie fights her body in the rough land. Heat returns, her throat dries, her skin burns. Despite the limp, the lion keeps moving. She crawls, scraping knees painfully. After what feels like forever, they reach taller rocks, forming a small hill. They hide, hearts pounding. The lion listens, sensing any danger. Suddenly, engine sounds erupt. Jeeps arrive. Not hunters, but an environmental protection team in proper gear. They stop, seeing the child with the three-legged lion. They get out, signaling not to shoot. They are there to fight illegal hunters. Sophie silently begs them not to harm the lion. A man, likely the leader, approaches slowly and confidently, careful not to scare the animal. She realizes these people might be her only hope, but fears for the lion's safety. The animal watches warily. Some team members carry tranquilizer guns to avoid risk but respect the girl and their strange bond. Suddenly, a gunshot rings from another place. The girl drops, covering her head. The lion bristles. The protectors return fire in a quick exchange, managing to surround and capture the hunters. With the danger over, attention turns to Sophie and the lion. She is frightened, barely able to speak. They give her water and cover her from the sun. The lion stays still, watching, to safely move. The team uses light tranquilizers to prevent harm. Sophie panics seeing the sedation, but a protector reassures her. They won't kill the lion. They will care for it in a protected reserve. The animal lies down, eyes blinking slowly. Before losing consciousness, it fixes its gaze on the girl. She moves close, stroking its fur, whispering thanks that only she understands. The lion falls asleep. The team hurriedly loads it into a vehicle. Others attend Sophie's injuries and condition. What follows is a convoy leaving the dry land behind, taking hunters, the sedated lion, and the rescued girl. Hours later, at a place like a wildlife reserve with simple fences, Sophie gets real medical care. A doctor checks her dehydration, sunburn, and motor issues. She is fed, given clean clothes, and rests in a ventilated tent. But she never forgets the lion. She watches anyone approaching, wanting to know if it is okay. She learns it is at a veterinary center within the reserve, being treated for the missing paw and possible infection. Days pass. Sophie slowly recovers, still feeling pain in her arms and legs from all the effort. She remembers little about her past or her parents who left her, but vividly recalls the savannah and the lion who saved her many times. The protectors try to find where she came from but find no clues. She seems completely alone, with no documents or home. Despite that, she shows inner strength surprising the adults. After some time, she visits the lion's area. He is still under care, adjusting to the new place with good food, fresh water, and veterinary help. When she approaches the fence, the lion lifts his head and sniffs the air. She reaches through the bars, unafraid, and he moves closer, still, cautious. There is a shared recognition. The protection team doesn't fully understand the bond formed in extreme conditions, but senses something deep happened between the girl and the big cat. Days pass, and both Sophie and the lion heal. She gets physical therapy and care for cerebral palsy, learning to move better with devices. She rests in a safe, clean place. He adapts to his food, gets treatment for the paw, and slowly regains lost strength. The reserve works to protect him. from future threats as illegal hunters still roam nearby, seeking exotic animals. Grateful to be safe, Sophie feels a sadness thinking she may have to leave. A social worker talks about placing her in a shelter since no relatives are found. She does not want to leave the lion, who is her greatest emotional support. Some protectors consider ways to keep her close, maybe a foster program or regular visits. The priority is her safety and letting the lion live free from danger, even if partly captive, because with 3 legs, survival fully in the wild is uncertain. When Sophie is medically discharged, she returns to the lion's enclosure, leaning on crutches. The sunset paints the sky orange and red, reminding her of the first twilight she saw with her protector. He approaches the fence, walking steadier than before. She touches the mesh. The lion lets out a low growl, not fear or aggression, but a gentle greeting. She feels tears come but also warmth in her heart, knowing they both made it this far thanks to their unlikely friendship. Leaving is hard, but she promises to return for visits. Some protectors volunteer to supervise and ensure safety. She accepts this with maturity many children lack, but her life has forced her to have. Climbing into the jeep that takes her away, she keeps her eyes on the lion, who watches her until the vehicle drives out of sight.